Okay, so today we will discuss basic constructs of Python. And believe me, whenever some programmer or some beginner is able to learn the basic constructs, then he or she can write programs easily. So first of all, we will discuss about the variables and data types. Okay, because all of the programming languages support variables and data types. So in Python programming language, there is no such a data type, but we can use some variable. For example, I am saying age. So this variable will become as an integer. This variable will be serve as an integer, and if I am saying name, then I have to save some string or name in double quotes. For example, I am saying Esther, so it's a string variable. Because unlike other programming languages, Python is not a typed language. It determines the type of any variable according to the value stored in that variable. So it's a string. Then I can declare some other, for example, variable. uh, it, it is student. So true. It is a boolean variable. Boolean variables are only contain true and false values. Fine. Okay, then we can also use some fractional point variables. For example, in other languages we can call such sort of variables as float. Fine, these are also uh, numeric data types, but in this data types values are stored as fractional values. Fine, and we can print all of these values by using print statement, which is a very important construct in Python language. I can use print statement if I want to print some sort of variable, for example age. Then what can I do? I have to write name of the variable straight away, and whenever I will run this program, it will show the value of the variable. Right now I have printed age, so the value was stored in age is 30. So it's a output statement. Print, it's also a very important construct. And if I want to join some sort of string with this variable, then I can write my age is this. Then what will happen? First of all, this string will be printed over the screen. Then after printing this, then value of age will be printed just like this way. Fine. So I can also take input in some sort of variables. For example, I have written here my age is this, and if I want to take input in age variable again, so I can write age input, and I can write some string here, enter your age, or I also can write what is your age. Fine. So specifically if the value is uh, numeric type, then I have to use int here, otherwise the value will be considered as a string. So after that I can use the same variable for printing again by using print statement. Right now you can see, right now if I am running this code, so you can see what will happen. First of all, it is saying my age is 30, what is your age, and user can write the age. For example, I am saying, then whenever I will press enter, it will show your age is this one. Okay, so these are the variables, and I told you that there is no such a specific data type associated in Python programming language. Whatever the value we are storing in some variable, the same type of variable could be considered. For example, this age is integer variable in current situation, name is string variable, is student a boolean variable, height is a float variable. We can initialize these variables by ourselves, or we can take input from the user. Okay, so right now it's a building block which is known as variables and data types. This is another building block which is known as input and output, because whenever we are working with any programming language, input and output plays a very important role. So there are different other building blocks. For example, in a logical sequence, after that we can discuss conditionals, and in conditionals we can discuss if, elif, and uh, similar structures. For example, I am saying if age if age is less than 18, fine, I have to use this colon after if condition, and I can write any statement. If the condition is true, I don't. Okay, if the condition is true, then I can write some statement. For example, right now I am saying you are under age, so you can't drive a car. Fine. Okay. And if the condition is true, then this statement will printed. On the other hand, if the condition I can I can make some other condition. For example, I am saying if age is less than 60, then I can print some statement, print you can drive a car if you have driving license. Fine. Then I can include some else statement, and I can print some statement straight away. For example, I am saying it's better not to drive as you are more than 60 years. So let me tell you, we can use this if statement standalone, entirely separately. On the other hand, we can use if else, because these are three. It looks a single building block, but we can use differently. We can use simple if. On the other hand, we can use if else. On the other hand, we can also use if elif, what we have been discussing here, if elif else. Fine. So it's also a conditional building block, and we can use this conditional building block in entirely different ways. If I am running this code, you know what is the age, last time, the value. I can uh, provide input here. My age is 30. What is your age? I can write any age here. For example, I am writing 34, and you know what would be the behavior from this if elif structure, because age is not less than 18, rather age is less than 60, because this condition will be false. So this condition will be true in such sort of structures where after if condition there is a elif, then there is a else condition. We can include as many elif conditions as per our requirement, but from these type of structures, if there are even dozens of blocks, right now there are 3 blocks only. From all of the blocks, only one condition will be running at the time, only one block will be running. Right now it will show you can drive a car if you have driving license, because it lies in this block. You can drive a car if you have driving license. If I am changing the value of age, for example, I am saying the value of the age is 17, then it will run this block accordingly. But believe me, if we have uh, if we have developed this structure accurately, then if there are as many elif, for example, as 20, then only single block will be executed. Okay, it is conditionals. If elif, then the next building block is loop, and you know there are different type of loops. For example, there is a for loop, there is a while loop, and in these loops there is also a variation. For example, I am saying for n in range of 10, then what it will do, it will it will use this variable n as a counter variable, and it will start from 1, and it will go to value 10. For example, what can I do? I can print here, this way, value of n, after comma I can write here n. So it will print values of n for 10 times, and it will automatically, uh, when we are using range, it will automatically increase the value of n, because all of the code will run again. Then I have to enter the age once more. After that, when it will come to the loop, then you know value of n 0, value of n 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It will start from 0 and it will go to 10. In the contrast, there is a while loop where uh, we have to manipulate our counter variable by ourselves, because all of the loops are working on the basis of counter variable. For example, if I want to print same type of output by using while loop, then I have to use counter variable explicitly, and I have to write counter is less than 10, or uh, I can write counter is less than equal 9. Both are equal conditions, same conditions. I can write less than 10, or I also can write less than equal 9. And in the body of this while loop, I can print, for example, I am saying value of counter, and after the comma I can write here counter variable. In while loop, I have to increment value of counter explicitly, because it is incremented automatically whenever we are using for loop, but in while loop uh, we have to make increments by ourselves, and there is a very little thing which we have to take care. All of the loops are working on the basis of counter variable. If we are starting with smaller value and we are going to bigger value, right now what is case in this example, we are starting with 0 which is a smaller, and we are going to value 9 which is a bigger. Then what we have to do, then we have to increment. Fine. So on the other hand, if we are doing some other way, for example, if we are starting from some bigger value and we are going to some smaller value, then we have to decrement in our counter variable. We have to decrement in a counter variable. Okay. Okay. Mm, okay. So if I am running this code, then you will come to know, after printing for loop content, it also will print while loop. You can see value of n 0, and then after finishing for loop, it is starting for while loop. Value of counter is 1 0, then 1, then 2, and so on. So I just want to give you some example where we are starting from larger value or bigger value. Right now you can see I am starting from 25 and I want to reach to 20. Then I have to decrease the value. If I am increasing, then condition will always true, and it will become indefinite loop. Right now you can assume it will start from 25, then after decreasing the value it will become 24, then 23, 22, 21, and at 20 value it will terminated. So these things are very important whenever we are dealing with loops. So I have entered the age, and you can see the last piece of code where I am starting with some bigger value, so it will start from 25 and it will end it at 20. Okay, it is the case with counter variable. If we are starting with smaller value going to bigger, then we have to increment in counter variable. If we started from bigger value and going to smaller, then we have to use greater than condition. It's also another difference. From smaller to larger, we have to use less than sign, less than equal sign. If we are starting from greater value, bigger value, and we are going to smaller value, then we have to use greater than and equal sign or simple greater than sign. So these are some important things with loops and specifically counter variables. Now, in different languages, for example, in uh, C sharp, in PHP, in different languages, there is some special loop also used which is known as for each. But in Python, for each loop is not available. But we can achieve the task of for each with for loop here. And for each loop in other languages, and for loop what I am discussing in this situation, for loop is iterating some sort of list or array. For example, I am going to write a list here. You can see I am saying marks, or right, I can say names of some persons or students. So whenever I want to write the names, okay, there are different names: Esther, it was issuing some sort of suggestions. Anyhow, I can include any names. For example, it is saying John and and mm, okay, so it's a list and I can iterate this list by using for loop. What I can do here, because the name of the list is names, so what can I do? Normally this type of list are named as a plural, so we can use the same name in a singular. For example, for name in names, then what it will do, it will check some structure, some data structure. For example, right now it will look for some list and it can iterate throughout the list from starting from 0 index. This value is residing at 0 index, then Bob is at 1 index, and it can iterate all of the list. So how I can iterate these type of list? I only have to print uh, even direct names, or I can say anything. For example, hi, then I can write name, because names is a list and name is a variable here, which we can use while iterating all of the string. Just like in this for loop, we were using a variable n, and we want to iterate in a range of 10. So the same way we are using counter variable name for iterating in this names list. So what it will do, it will print all of the names starting with saying hi, then name of the member, for example Esther, Bob, John, and so on. If I'm running this code, you can see what will happen. First of all, I have to enter the age. I am entering 78. It will print here, you are not allowed to drive, it's better not to drive as you are more than 60 years. Then what I want to show you specifically this piece of code where we have a list of names and we are iterating this list by using for loop. So let me tell you, in some other programming languages these things can be achieved by using for each, but here in Python for loop can be used also just like a for each loop in other languages. So it's also a very important construct. We whenever we are writing some codes, we are developing some programs or softwares, we have to use such sort of loops. So then there are some other important constructs list we have discussed, and we can discuss dictionaries. It is a list which is a data structure, and I can right now discuss a dictionary. Dictionary is another data structure which is little different as a list. And in programming language, in Python programming language, there is a list data structure, there is a dictionary, there are sets, and there are tuples. All of these are data structures available in Python programming language. So we already have seen this list. We can use this square brackets for storing the elements of the list, and for different data structure we can use different special symbols. For example, if we want to create some dictionary, for example I am saying students, then or student, then I have to use a pair of curly braces And just like other data structures, this data structure is little different. In dictionary I can dictionary in dictionary I can store key value pair. So in dictionary I will create a key and I will store a value in that key, just like if I want to create, I want to store record of some student. For example, I am saying name Esther, then I can enter some different value. For example, I am saying roll number, and I can store some value because it's a integer. Then I don't need to use this uh, double quotes. Then I can add some other key value pair. For example, I can write subject, then I have to write the value of the subject. For example, I can write computer science or Python programming. So it is just like a dictionary, and straight away I can print this dictionary, uh, or I can how I can access different elements from list. Before showing this one, I have to show you how we can access elements of the list. For example, I am writing here print, I am saying names 1. So what it will do, I can concat some string here, accessing list element. So if I am running this code, then I will show you how we are accessing elements of the list. Then easily you could understand the case of dictionary. For example, I am entering age right now, and you will see accessing list element, it is showing Bob here. So let me tell you, whenever we are accessing uh, such sort of list, then these lists are uh, accessed by index, and index definitely will start from 0. Esther is residing at index 0, and Bob is at index 1, and John 2, Irfan 3rd, and Stain is at 4 index. So if I am accessing names of 1, then it will show me the second name available in the list. So the case with dictionary is little different. Here the index is this key, because I already told you that we can store values just like a key value pair separated by a colon. So we have to access values from dictionary by using the key. For example, what I am doing, I am saying student, uh, I can say student, and there is a name, fine, and I can print this element straight away, and I can concat some sort of string here, the name of the student is. So it will access name from dictionary. What it will look in the dictionary, it will check any of the key available in the dictionary where the key is name. For example, if I want to access the subject, then how can I access? I have to write this way. I have to write here student subject, but make sure the spelling are correct. Fine. And same way I have to change here, uh, you are studying. For example, I am saying I can write here the student is studying. Okay, and whenever I am running this code, you can see I have used the input statement, so it will ask for some value of age, and at the end you can check the name of the student is Esther and the student is studying Python programming. So these these dictionaries could be accessed by these keys, and by using these keys we can access value of the key. Name, roll number and subject are keys here in this dictionary. Name and roll number and subject, these are the keys in this dictionary. And if we are talking about values, so the same with same sequence I am writing the name is Esther and roll number is 1, subject is Python programming. But keep in mind, whenever we are storing some numeric values, we can write openly, and whenever we are storing some sort of string values, then we have to use double quotes. So it is the case with dictionary data structure. Then there are some other data structures also available. For example, tuple. Tuples are just like list, but there is a little different. We have to use uh, parentheses for storing the values. For example, I can write here uh, coordinates. So I can write here um, I can write here 34, 56, 67. So there are three coordinates, and I can print these coordinates. For example, straight away I can write here, and it will show. And believe me, there are different scenarios where we can use all of these data dictionaries, these data structures, just like list and and tuples and dictionaries and list. We can use according to the situation. So it was a very important data structure building block. Then there is another building block which is function, and we can write some specific function, just like other languages in programming. In Python programming, we can create some function just for uh, modularity and some clarity, because function create some clarity in our coding. We can understand what is going on, and we can modularize our code. So like other programming languages, the same way we are defining here functions. For defining function we have to write def keyword. It is compulsory. Then we can use some sort of for example, name of the function. For example, I am saying uh, hello, or I can write some other function right now. If it is saying greet, then because functions might take some sort of values, some sort of arguments. On the other hand, functions could be simple enough, who are not taking any of the argument. Right now you can see I am I am writing very simple function greet, and I can write here hello, uh, for example students. And whenever I want to call this function, what I have to do, only I can call this function by its name, and it will print whatever is written in its body. Fine. So whenever I am running this code, before reaching this greet function, I have to put some age value here, and you can see it is printed hello students. So it is some keyword for defining the function. There is a identifier for function, and in this parenthesis we can write some arguments, and these arguments could be used in the body of the function. For example, let me write some little complex function. For example, I want to define function addition, and this function will take some values. For example, I am saying it is this function will take two values, x or y or z. It will take three values, and what I can do, I can print or I can return. If I am printing these values, then I can write the sum of x, y, and z is, and after that, you know, I can write x plus y plus z. And whenever I am calling this function, so I have to call addition, I have to write addition, and after that I have to put three values. These values would be arbitrary. I can take these values from the user. It's not a some odd thing. I can take these values from the user, but if I am writing all of the values by myself, then it's also good. So whenever I am running this code, it will show me the result of addition. For example, you can see the sum of xyz is 18. On the other hand, I can return the value, which is also some common case in programming languages. What can I return? For example, I am returning x plus y plus z, and whenever I will call the function, it will this function will return some value. So what can I do? I can print these values by using print function, or in addition I can store these values in some variable also. It depends upon the situation. Whatever the situation is, we can adopt, we can do accordingly. Right now you can see here I am saying the sum of x or x, y, and z is this. So it was about functions. First of all, I have to go through from entering some age value. After that, you can see the sum of x, y, z is 18, because what values I have called this function 3, 6, and 9, 9 and 6, 15, and 3, 18. So these are some very important constructs from Python programming language. Believe me, there are a lot of other constructs, but these are very important and very basic. We can extend these constructs little more, but in different programs, we have to use these constructs accordingly. Whatever the situation, we can adopt these constructs for writing some different